In a week, I turned 55. And as we turn the page into 2026, a question has been sitting with me. What if I only had 1 year left to live? What if you did? Would it change the way we live, what we share, how we listen, what we pay attention to? There's even a term for this kind of framing, it turns out. Mortality awareness, it's called. It's the practice of remembering that our time is finite, not in a morbid way, but in a clarifying way. When we allow the notion of death into the room, it tends to sharpen what matters. The men's group I've been part of these past months has read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. And now we're reading Atul Gawande's Being Mortal, Medicine and What Matters in the End. And both of these books circle this same truth, I think, that when we face the reality of death, we often discover what gives life meaning. But this question didn't just start there for me. 20 years ago, I was diagnosed out of the blue with type 1 diabetes, as many of you know if you've read what I've written previously. Overnight, I became dependent on insulin for survival. And without synthetic insulin, my body would simply waste away. That diagnosis planted a seed. I'm living on borrowed time. So, what would I do with that borrowed time? And around that same season, I came across the writing of Bronnie Ware, the Australian palliative care nurse who wrote the top 5 regrets of the dying. She summarized what she heard again and again from those near the end of life. One, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Two, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Three, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. Four, I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends. And five, I wish I'd let myself be happier. Looking back over the last 20 years, I can see how these principles or regrets have quietly shaped me. Writing this memoir, sharing my thoughts and feelings with you here on Substack, risking honesty when it would be easier to stay silent. Posting my story was extremely daunting at first, and it still is sometimes. But it's been one way, I think, of practicing this kind of courage, living a bit more true to myself and expressing what I actually think and feel. I intend to continue as I feel moved to do so. So I'll leave you with the same question that's been working on me this new year. What if this were your last year to live? What would you do if you had just a bit more courage to live true to yourself, even if others don't fully understand? What if you worked a little less, or at least strained less while you work? What if you shared more of what is actually in your heart, even if it isn't always polite or easy? And what if you reached out to old friends or cultivated new ones, but where there is real mutuality and enjoyment? And what would it feel like to let yourself be just a little bit happier, even silly at times, in a world that obviously holds both joy and sorrow? If this were your last year, uh, who would you be? What would you do? And what would you pay attention to? Thank you so much for listening, reading, watching, journeying with me. And to those of you who have recently become paid subscribers, thank you so much for supporting me in this way and putting a little skin in the game, even as I have been doing that. Thank you all.